My name is Andrew Becraft, and I run the Brothers Brick, and this is our collaborative build this year. So we're doing a Civil War theme, and as you can see, it is day 4 of BrickCon, which means that there is a bit of an invasion happening. But starting over here at this end, we've got Union Behind the Lines Hospital by Ty Keltner from Alaska, and an artillery line by Sean Edmondson here, along with my Lincoln on a T-Rex, because that's awesome.
Very, very cool.
Thank you very much. Union Cavalry on dinosaurs, 1st Illinois Volunteer Cavalry. And then we've got another field hospital over here by Kalen, also of the Brothers Brick. And that's my real-life brother. Don't look at him. And then down here in the middle, we've got the Union approaching a surrounded troop of Union troops in the middle, and Union cavalry charges on either side, with the rebels surrounding them. But I don't think the rebels are going to do that well, because if you look on the other side of the Union of the Confederate lines, you've got 2 Union ironclads on the other side. So
Okay, so they're a bit surrounded there on that side.
A bit surrounded. So yeah, it's been fun. We're using the Mills standard 32 by 32 sections just to pull everything together, and been planning it for about a year. We got about 300 Union troops from Germany the week after last year's BrickCon. So yeah, it's been fun. I'm quite proud of how this came together. Yeah,
I think it turned out great. So when working on a collaborative build like this, how did that work for you guys? Was it like phone calls, Skype, or did you do it all in person?
Just all a Flickr group. Okay. We started a Flickr group about a week after BrickCon last year, and asked certain people to try bringing certain sections. So like Steve Walker brought this awesome hill that the cavalry is charging down, and then we decided on a Mills standard for the sections, and we're just going to use base plates for water. Basically we set the standards, and everybody went off and built for months or a year or whatever, and started accumulating troops. And finally, I think what really kind of pulls it all together is Will Chapman from Brick Arms donated literal gallon bagfuls of Brick Arms weapons. And in fact, Josh from the Brothers Brick went to the workshop and pumped out hand injection molded cannonballs and other equipment. So yeah, some of the cannon tips and cannonballs, those are all custom hand injection molded Brick Arms elements that Will Chapman designed and Josh Whedon hand injected.
Awesome, and I think that the minifigs are definitely a highlight of this build. If you can talk a little bit more about those, what type of like torsos and things like that did you use for each side?
Sure. So the Union's easy. They're either the light blue or medium blue, whatever. I'm not a color person. They're either the light blue from the Wild West theme, or the Lone Ranger cavalry pieces. Okay. So those are really easy to come, or were a year ago. They're not anymore, thanks to us probably. Those are mostly all just standard Lego with heads swapped out. But the Confederacy's harder, because they're Lego has amazingly never made any Confederate minifigs. So those are mostly either various bits of gray or tan pulled together and turned into a ragtag troop, or in some cases, like these Confederates surrounded by African American troops here in the middle. These troops here are Citizen Brick custom printed torsos and kepi hats.
Okay, so a few different kinds of minifigs then in here. That's really neat. So, and then if you can talk, you mentioned the ships earlier. If you want to talk about these a little bit more, these are really interesting down here. What type of details and stuff on here, and how these were built a little bit?
Yeah, so the Uss Monitor is one of the very first ironclads of military history, from certainly, obviously, the Civil War. And it's very, very realistic. Despite being very basic, it had very little detail, just a plain giant flat panel with a house in the middle for the cannons. And the front bit there, that's where the captain or the pilot would stick his head and shoulders up and be able to look out and actually navigate the ship. So this, despite not having the same level of detail as Chris Malloy's amazing USS Passaic, is very, very realistic. And the USS Passaic is sort of the second generation of US ironclads. And I love all the detail. So the vents and the bollards and the pilot house on top of the turret and so on and so on. It's fantastic.
So both of these are based off real ships then?
Yeah, absolutely. Both based on historical ships.
Okay. And then for the whole collaborative build as a whole, was this based off any particular battle, or just kind of putting it together how you wanted it to go?
Yeah, it's based certainly on history. You know, it's the 150th anniversary of the American Civil War, the end of the American Civil War, and you know, the tactics, the columns, the equipment, all of that is well researched by the people who participated. My brother, who's a history major, has said that it looks a lot like Gettysburg, apparently, but it's not based on any specific battle of the Civil War. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then I think you mentioned these earlier. Here's some of the custom pieces you mentioned. That's the Cannonballs there?
Yeah, so these are pretty cool if you want to come in close. They come apart like this, and they're fully stackable, and a minifig can hold that in their hands like they're loading up a cannon like we've got in some cases here. And then this attaches down at the bottom by a stud too. Okay. So it's pretty hard.
Yeah, those are awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I think that turned out great. So then what's maybe the toughest part of putting together a collaborative build like this?
Well, I think it's planning ahead of time. So, you know, whoever it was I think it was William, one of the participants, who suggested the Mills standard. That really, really helped. So that determines where, you know, where roads begin and end, and if you have a river that is in a certain location in the standard, and everything clips together so that it's nice and sturdy once it's on the table. That's really one of the hardest things. Last year for our collaboration ChronoCon, it didn't really come together because it was all just base plates and random stuff all over the table. But this year, because we had a standard, it ties together really well. I think the other key was recruiting specific people to do specific sections. So the hill section and, you know, certain fortifications, by recruiting specific people and asking them to do certain things that we knew they would be good at, that really helped as well.
Yeah, well, I think it turned out great. Everybody who worked on it, I think, did a great job. So thanks for talking to us about it. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.